So yeah, the Indiana Fever have signed their second dev contract player, and it is a surprise who it is. I'm gonna admit it. It is definitely a surprise who it is, but the logic is not a surprise. The logic of the Indiana Fever are going to sign a player that they already had because they don't want to actually bring in someone to fight for a spot was sound. It was sound logic that the Indiana Fever were going to do what they did. Why are the Indiana Fever doing what they're doing? So if you guys don't know, a lot of people are complaining here about BBALL. They had the option of hiring someone to make CC more comfortable. They choose to feed South Carolina hates CC. Also, South Carolina favoritism I actually think it's nothing to do with South Carolina. Well, sorry. In an isolation, this has nothing to do with South Carolina. But people are saying, are they afraid to get a big? So, I need to talk about what the Indiana Fever are doing with their dev contract player. The Indiana Fever have no intention of playing their dev contract player. They have no intention. So basically, what the Indiana Fever would rather have is they want a player that is going to show up to practice, play hard, and when they're playing 0 minutes this season, when they play 0 minutes this season and don't kit out for a single game and get told to go back to the locker room instead of sitting out on the bench after team announcements, instead of walking out onto the floor after the announcements, they turn around and walk back to the bench, or say walk back into the locker room. They need a player that's going to be okay with that. They need a player that's going to be okay to not play basketball and still give effort to practice. Because that is what she is. She's getting paid like a practice player. She is a practice player. She is a practice player. And people are wondering why they not sign Kate Martin, why they not sign a big. Players want, there are two different types of dev players. There are dev players that are okay with being practice players. And there are dev players that want to make a team. And not even want to make a team, are gunning to make a team. Because everyone wants to make a team. And Justine Bassett had no choice. Even if she was gunning to make a team, she had no choice. She had to take the Fever dev offer. She could not, she couldn't sign a dev contract with another team unless they waived her. Like the Mercury, or like the Valkyries did with, with, geez, I'm blanking on her name, Marta Suarez. That is the only way she could have signed a dev spot with another team. And by the way, if you look at other teams' dev spots, Frieda Booner, 15 minutes. Hoff, in for the last possession for the Lynx. Heck, one of them even got on over Temi for Portland. I can't remember, Fasuolo, the Slovenian. And a lot of teams are using their dev players. The Indiana Fever, I cannot stress this enough. There's the reason why no player wants to sign for the Indiana Fever. And people are wondering, why are they signing a guard? The reason why they're signing a guard is because they have 75 guards already. And you're like, why do they need more guards? Because they need someone in practice to match up to the 75 guards. That is unfortunately the way it works. Is they need live bodies in practice to match up to the 78 guards they already have. Do I hate the idea of it? Hell yeah, I do. I hate the idea of that. I hate the idea that the Indiana Fever have not given a fair shot to any player they have signed since, other than the 12 that are on their day one roster, to make the team. It really annoys me. They've not given any of them a fair shot, and they won't give any of them a fair shot. But that is what BBALL is for. And I mean this. BBALL will do good as scout, will play well as scout team. She's a good locker room player. They know her. They know she's not going to cause trouble. She's a moderately okay defender. And she's probably okay in practice to match up the players. And they know that she signed this knowing she's not going to play basketball this year. It's hard for the Fever to sign a dev contract player. Because to sign a dev contract player, you have to sign them, and they have to know. They know they're not playing basketball this year. That's really hard. You might be saying, oh, but other teams have signed dev contract players. Man, other teams have played their dev contract players. The Indiana Fever, as far as I'm aware, are the only team that decided to go out with 11 players instead of bringing a dev contract player. They are literally, they pulled Justine Bissott. She hit 2 threes. They're hiding her. They're obviously hiding Justine Bissott. Because there's always the chance, by the way, if you have a dev player that goes nuclear, that another team will sign them. Let's just say hypothetically, like the Mercury decided to sign Nogic to a dev contract. Like, because there was a legitimate chance of that. Let's say the Mercury signed Nogic to a dev contract. And she goes and, is doing what she does right now. Another team and the Mercury side, you know what, we didn't want to keep her on a dev contract. Another team would just sign her. Like, there's nothing you can do. Like, play them their 13 games. If they're going to play more than 14 games and they're going to be in the rotation and they're going to play and they're going to do something, cool. Cut someone to bring them in. But the Fever won't do that. Tori Walker-Kimbrough could play 0 minutes this season and the Indiana Fever will still keep her on a roster. Why? Because there's a chance that Caitlin Clark, Kelsey Mitchell both get injured. Instead of, bringing her, instead of, keeping her, because no other team's going to sign Tori Walker-Kimbrough. Instead of keeping her in the loop, and if something goes wrong, we might sign you on a hardship player. But they might lose young players. And the problem is they've lost out on the chance of getting young players. Nobody will sign for the Indiana Fever. Young players don't want to sign for the Indiana Fever because there's no pathway to playing basketball. If you're not a over the hill vet who was good 8 years ago, there's no pathway to playing basketball. Like, you're just not going to play. So no young player will sign. No overseas player will sign. They don't even scout overseas. There's no culture of overseas. Like, they brought in one player and it was Chloe Bibby. And the only reason they brought in Chloe Bibby is, I shit you not, Chloe Bibby in one of her 3 games for the Valkyries scored 12 points against the Fever. They don't scout. They saw Chloe Bibby cook them in what was her best game of her career and signed her. Like, I don't know. The front office is borderline incompetent. I think they're good at some aspects of, basketball, none of which being the on-the-court stuff. But yeah, it's a pity. Oh, it's a pity that this is the, and this is what it has come to. But at the same time, look, for what the Indiana Fever want out of their dev players, which is not to play basketball and to help them practice, Bree Hall's fine. I feel bad for Bree Hall. I feel bad for any player that's signed as a dev contract for the Fever because you are making $700 a week. You are making, again, there's no fucking secret about it. You are in this transformational CBA and you are in fact making less money than the vast majority of us talking about you as a player. That's not ideal. So anyway, see you guys.